Welcome to the Present Fathers Podcast. This is the show that focuses on climbing the mountain of fatherhood together. We believe that dads matter. That's why this show is for you. So gear up, dads. Get ready. It's time to start climbing. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Present Fathers Podcast. This is a special 4th of July Patriotic themed episode. I'm visiting Dustin in person for the weekend, and so we're going to film a face-to-face episode. It's our first chance to do this, and it's actually the first time we've seen each other in quite a long time. So before we get too far into it, let's flex off these ridiculous 4th of July themed clothing we got here. Mine says, I don't do cardio because these colors don't run. So, yeah, and then you might need to stand, actually, for the viewers so they can see your epic shorts.
Are you sure they want to see this?
Yeah, let's bring it out. It's the
Yep.
Uber Mandels and the total dad. I don't know if we can see it, but anyway.
You can tilt it down a little bit. Yep. There it is. Yep.
Nice. America.
Exactly.
So yeah, we're in full 4th of July spirit. We're gonna do kind of a lighthearted episode today, just having fun with it for the vacation, and why not, right? So It's actually, we've been a podcast now for about exactly 1 year, give or take a few days. So it's kind of a good way to kick off the new year, so to speak.
Yeah, it's America's birthday, and it's also the present father's birthday.
That's right,
so
and our theming is very red, white, and blue also, so it works out very well.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to be here like way earlier yesterday, and got in at like 3 a.m. And Dustin and I haven't seen each other for almost 10 years, I feel like.
I think it's been a decade.
7, 8, something like that. It's been, just life's been crazy. But I forgot how absolutely massive you are compared to me. So for those who you maybe can't tell sitting in these chairs, I'm like 5'9" on a good day. You're like, what, 6'2", 6'3"?
6'4" is my playing height.
6'4", okay. Yeah, so we get in at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, we're trying to sneak in to not wake him up. And he comes upstairs to like say hi, and I meet him on the stairs, and he's a good 2 steps below me, and we kind of do the bro hug thing. You're seeing me eye to eye, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how big you are.
Yeah.
So you may be big, and I can still beat the crap out of you. I think I got you.
I don't know. I think it might be the Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg situation. We'll talk more about that later.
Well, let's talk about it right now, actually.
Yeah. All right.
So who you got?
So Elon is 6'2", over 200 pounds. I think he's more like 220. He talked about his technique is the walrus, which is basically where he's just going to
lay on him.
He's just going to lay on Zuckerberg. He's got easily 4 or 5 inches of reach on Zuck, who's maybe 5'7", and all that extra weight. I think he's going to win the fight. I think size matters, and I think he's going to take him here.
That's what she said.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm Team Elon here.
You're Team Elon.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the I'm a small guy card, and in high school I had to wrestle the heavyweights in practice.
Yeah.
And I would consistently take him down because speed matters, and especially technique matters. So if Elon is untrained and Zuck apparently is like a black belt or pretty close to it.
Yeah.
I hate to say this because I'm not a fan of Zuckerberg at all, but
yeah,
a guy who knows what he's doing, weight almost doesn't, to a certain extent, doesn't matter. Yeah. I think most fighters would probably agree with you on that, or agree with me on that technique and skill can really offset a big weight disparity a lot of the time. Because a lot of it comes into he can just dance around and tire Musk out.
Musk needs to win quickly. He's got to get in there, and he's got to submit him quickly.
So there's always that, right? If he catches the lucky punch or whatever, right, then it's over. Yes. Yeah. So might be exciting, actually.
It's ridiculous, but I'm actually really excited.
It's super ridiculous. And they're going to fight in the Coliseum or something.
They're actually going to Italy, like the actual Coliseum.
But how men settle disputes. This is like the ultimate masculine, thing.
Yeah, I love it. My favorite book is Nassim Taleb's Skin in the Game.
Yeah.
And he makes a very convincing argument why our leaders should continue to literally fight from the front.
Absolutely.
Because let's say that I'm sitting in my comfortable house and I lose a war. I don't care. I've still got my comfortable house. Yep. But if I'm leading from the front and I lose...
They're just young guys. They can die. No
right. Yeah, exactly. So it is really interesting to see these two guys, these titans of industry, who are willing to do this. And obviously it's for fun.
It's super funny. It's like the most meme thing. Like, if you would have said 10 years ago that this would be happening, no one would believe you.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fight all started because Zuckerberg started a Twitter competitor. And so Elon said, "Oh, it's not as good." And then Zuck said, "Send location," and then the
and here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have to say, I think it's a little bit of an unfair fight because Zuckerberg is a robot. He's an android, so he's probably got like Terminator capabilities underneath that flesh suit he's wearing.
Don't forget though, Elon is he's an alien.
Oh,
right? He's from Mars.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like Alien versus Predator, kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. So
all right. Enough about Musk and Zuck. We'll get to that maybe as a follow-up after the fight. But
sounds good.
Yeah. So let's talk 4th of July, right? Independence Day.
I like it. Yep. So the British would call it Happy Treason Day, right?
Well, I think it's only treason if you lose. So since we won. It's Independence Day.
Indeed. And back-to-back World War champions.
Yeah, keep enjoying your tea with milk and whatever crazy stuff you do.
Yeah.
Over there, British people.
I wish we had some tea to pour out.
Well, we're having some water. We'll get to that and why it's water. But,
there you go.
Yeah. My wife's obsessed with like British television and The Crown and Downton Abbey and all that kind of stuff. She just watches it on repeat. It drives me nuts. But I love to joke with her. She's tired of it. But I love to say, every American stopped caring about British royalty on July 4th, 1776. So it's about the most patriotic way to crush British television.
Exactly.
So yeah, does your wife do that?
Oh, she loves English TV. Yeah, absolutely.
It's such a weird phenomenon. It's like white women in their 30s and 40s are like obsessed with British royalty
and the pomp and I think it's the the dresses and the
traitors.
Yeah,
our wives are traitors. We're gonna have to educate them a little bit better.
I know, and they forget that European socialism is completely subsidized by American military might.
Really?
They couldn't have these castles and this shorter work week and all that without veterans like yourself protecting the free world. They don't have their own armies to take care of this stuff, and so it's our job to to help them out. So even 200 years later, we're still kind of carrying them.
Back-to-back World War champs. Just throwing that out there. God bless America. You're welcome, Europe and the rest of the world, for still speaking your native tongue as opposed to speaking German.
Ja,
or
wir
Japanese.
don't want the Germans here. Yeah.
Or Japanese.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Back-to-back World War champs. So since we're talking military stuff, I got a couple funny military things we haven't really discussed on the show yet. So the unit I served in, 320th Field Artillery, is called Balls of the Eagle. And that is legit the name.
Wait, do eagles actually have balls? Are they like what size?
So I'll get into the history of where it kind of comes from. But so Balls of the Eagle. The greeting of the day when you would salute people or they would salute you would literally be balls, sir. So you'd say balls. Like when the battalion was called to attention, we'd say balls, really loud.
Nice. Yeah.
Hilarious, man. So that was literally the thing. But to add on to that, so everyone's, if you're the battalion level, your call signs were ball 6, ball 7, whatever, right?
Yeah.
The chaplain's call sign, and I'm not making this up. Ask any veteran who served in this unit; they will tell you this. It's holy balls, which has got to be the coolest call sign that's ever existed in the army. Because normally it's like something super like alpha, edgy, like Bone Crusher 7 and Predator 6 and like all these like really like hyper masculine ridiculous names, and then it's like holy balls. So it comes up on the radio, this is holy balls, and it's like it's like watching some joke show like MASH or something, it's like but that was his call sign. So the reason why it's called that, if memory serves me correct, and historians out there can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but a lot of it comes back to cannonball, but also like the way the unit fought in World War II kind of earned the title. They had balls, because the 101st was relatively new, and anyway, there's a lot of history and stuff with that. So it's kind of it was a little bit of a joke that kind of stuck. I think is kind of how it got to that. But
that is
anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah. So and then next funny kind of military-ism that I haven't discussed, and we referenced that we were going to talk about this at some point. So you were mocking my Turkish get-ups that I was doing.
Collapsed.
Yeah, so that's how we did it in the army, because we're a bunch of idiots. But also it's because I'm conditioned with sandbag get-ups, which I'm sure every veteran out there is like, oh yeah, those things. And so when I was deployed with my buddy Sterling, we would work out every day. We were like super religious about it, and we were like best buds. And we were like, hey, let's go make some sandbags, right? We got our extra cargo bags. We can go fill sand from the pit that we would make sandbags with for like cover. With our like cargo bags to just duct tape it up and everything. We were going to try and like make it solid to work with, and we were like, we didn't have a scale either, so we were like kind of just eyeballing it. And we build these sandbags, like, great, tomorrow morning, let's go crush it. We'll get these things out there, and we'll just use sandbag get-ups for, like, I don't know, 30 minutes, some ridiculous number that's, like, super lofty.
It's hard work.
And so we're getting going, we're just like, oh my gosh. We're, like, absolutely dying by the time we're done. I can, like, barely stand up. We're about to throw up and everything. And then we're like, it was supposed to be, like, an 80-pound sandbag, I think, was the prescription
which
workout.
is insanely heavy. Can you describe what a sandbag get-up is?
Yeah, so you literally, like, throw a sandbag on your shoulder, and you have to, like, kind of fall to the ground with it. But then you have to, like, figure out how to also stand back up with it on your shoulder, and you can't set it down.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, manage the weight all the way up and through. So maybe I don't know. It's hard to show in a studio, but it's not easy. Imagine picking up half a person repeatedly for 30 minutes straight. Not fun. But it was supposed to be like an 80, 70-pound bag, something like that. Afterwards, we go to the team room, the platoon room or whatever, to weigh the things. And they're like 130 pounds each, some ridiculous number. And we were like, oh, that was so excessive. Like, we dumped them out. So we spent all this time building these sandbags. And that's why I do Turkish get-ups like an idiot, because I'm too conditioned for doing stupid stuff like that. And that's probably why I have back issues. But it's not service-connected.
No, of course not.
The VA will tell you that. So anyway, enough military stuff. I think I wore that one out. Last blurb I'll say, though, is fireworks are forever ruined for me, because after you've spent time in the field artillery, in really combat arms, little hard to be excited about little when you've done, massive cannons and missiles from aircraft and things like that. So yeah, 4th of July is a little boring in terms of what everyone else gets excited about. But freedom is never boring.
That's
so
right.
God bless America.
Yeah, exactly. It is always fun to blow shit up. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm a big kettlebell fan, and so in contrast with that, it's funny watching you collapse as you go down, because the the kettlebell get up is all about control, and so it's this very specific process that kind of goes through all that.
So I'm supposed to basically do all the steps of standing up in reverse.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a specific lunge technique. I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, sandbag, you like have to fall, or you're going to hurt your back. You kind of have to roll with it like a parachute landing.
This is going to feel a lot better.
Yeah.
You're going to like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to our
I was really bad at the Turkish get-up, is what Dustin's saying. I suck.
Well,
I made a reel. He's like, you're just falling down. I was like, oh.
I thought I was doing that
I was
right.
so tired. I thought I worked good.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever done a proper workout together.
No.
This will be the first time.
We're going to do it after this, actually, today, this afternoon.
What day of 75 hard are you on now?
Today I'm on 68.
You're on 68. Okay.
Day 68.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with 75 hard, George, Justin, and I have been doing it for the past couple of months. 75 days. Each day requires one 45-minute workout that's outside, and one 45-minute workout later in the day that can be indoors.
Yes.
And intensity-wise, please don't anyone do 14 intense workouts a week. That's a really bad idea.
No, my outdoor workout is usually a brisk walk with my wife in the evening.
Today it was swimming this morning.
Yep.
So as long as
I
you're
also
active and
do,
outside.
like, I will also add on, like, stretching and foam rolling and stuff, because we're not 20-year-old kids anymore. You got to take care of your body.
Exactly. So. It's interesting how much, I would say 50 to 60% of my workouts now are recovery.
As they should be.
Yeah, and the rest is, muscle building and strength and all that. So 75 hard, 75 days, no alcohol. That's number one. That's been tough. I still miss beer. I certainly am looking forward on that 75th day or 76th day.
Yeah.
To have.
Don't do it on the 75th day.
That'd be a disaster.
You
right?
gotta get to 76.
Yeah, exactly. So 75 days in a row, no alcohol. The 2 workouts that I mentioned.
You have to be on a diet.
Pick a diet. Yes, and 10 pages per day of nonfiction, and it needs ideally to be a paper book.
It has to be a paper book.
Oh, so yeah,
you
it has
can't
to be.
do audiobooks or anything, which I hate.
Yeah.
So whenever we eventually talk to Andy Frisell, I'm going to tell him how much I hate elements of this. He's probably going to laugh at me and call me weak, but for those of you out there who maybe want to try this, I think it's extremely excessive. I think for most people, just cut the alcohol. That's like that's the best part about this thing, probably.
Yeah.
If you're going to do 2 workouts, it needs to be highly thought out. And I think having to do it, like not having rest days is not, I think it's counterproductive. It's mentally draining in the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's physically taxing in the wrong way. So I'm a hard gainer. Maybe I'm the anomaly. I really struggle to put on muscle mass. It's super frustrating to feel like I'm making a lot of progress, but then because I have to do it every single day, it's like I'm losing growth and gains because
Yeah.
I'm just constantly doing something. And even if it's recovery work, you're still doing more than I probably should be doing when I need to be just like straight up taking a day to recover and deload, you know?
Sure.
That's George's 2 cents. You know, don't kill me about it. It's just
so for
personal
someone who
opinion.
is not a hard gainer, I got up to 280 pounds my freshman year of college.
Whoa.
And it was not muscle. I was pretty fat, and that was at age 18. So I lost the weight pretty quickly, and it was funny. I could not get a date my whole freshman year. I thought there was something, you know. And then I lost the weight, and I was beating women away with sticks. And I realized that year that women are just as shallow as men. It turns out that is a real thing.
It's not even shallow. So it's not even shallow. It's just how you're made. Like
Sure.
it's a genetic, you know, survival of the fittest type of thing. You know,
Yeah.
so maybe that's a conversation for another day. But
That was a big learning experience for me.
go figure.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
look more physically attractive. Amazing.
Yeah. What are the odds?
People. It's also same. Not in a sexual connotation. People like attractive people. There's been like studies done on this. I think where, you know, very scientific, also not very scientific, but generally like so. That's a tip for like getting jobs is if you think you're a very attractive person, like good facial features and stuff.
Yeah.
You should include a photo because it naturally endears you more to the interviewer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So even in a non, you know, attractiveness sexually, it's like kind of a.
So does that work with other guys?
Think about like movie actors and stuff. They always try and pick, you know, beautiful people usually for almost
Yeah.
every role, even if it's not required, because it's kind of just it makes them more
But
charismatic.
wouldn't I see a very attractive man as a threat, potentially? Maybe I don't like a really good-looking guy because I'm concerned that he's going to steal my wife away. Or
Maybe
something like
I don't
that.
know, but I mean, who are your favorite action heroes?
They're not ugly men. That's
Yeah.
a good point. Yeah. The
You
Arnold
wanted to be them.
Schwarzeneggers and yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I just need to add like another foot and 100 pounds, and I can be Arnold. You know,
And the
so-
accent. Yeah. Hello, my name is George. I'm here
that's
to crush
that's
you.
a fun fact we haven't talked about this. I was born in Vienna, Austria, so
Okay.
there's actually a little bit, you know, schwazi if you're watching this. I lived in the city. My mom would walk me around Schönbrunn Palace in the gardens when I was a toddler and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've always been an American, U.S. citizen, born abroad, for those wondering. So God bless America. I'm no
you
European allegiance here, other than our NATO allies, I guess. But
Sure.
anyway,
Yeah.
it's a fun fact. Just we were on the topic.
That's
so.
cool. Yeah. All right. So we're almost done. You're on day 68. I had to reset because my first week, I took my my toddler to a wedding. He was the ring bearer. I live in Florida. It was in Texas, and I just didn't prepare for it properly. So
That's
I wasn't.
hard.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get the water. That's the other thing we forgot to mention for anyone for 75
Oh, a gallon of water a day.
Gallon of water a
See,
day.
that's for me. That's the most excessive thing of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I weigh $170. I'm
Yeah.
5'9", and unless I'm doing an insane strenuous workout, like I'm overhydrating.
Yeah.
I work in an office. It's air conditioning. I have like this cush lifestyle. A gallon of water a day is it's so much.
You're flushing your kidneys.
Yeah, it's way too much. Like it
Yeah.
looks like water when I pee, like
Right.
all the time, and I'm always going to the bathroom. It's
Yeah.
too much. So
And then for me, I'm in the operating room, so I have to call my docs and say, hey, I really have to pee. They make fun of me the whole time. You know, how's your prostate? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I have to deal with that. So, yeah, I typically don't drink that much water.
I think it's too much.
Yeah. So what is your first alcoholic beverage going to be on day 76 when you get out of jail?
I went to Chattanooga over Memorial Day with the family, good little family vacation, and just quick blurb for the city of Chattanooga. Amazing vacation if you're ever in the area. Definitely plan to stay a night and, you know, spend some time around. The aquarium's amazing. So just random for those
I've
out
been
there.
in the Chattanooga aquarium. It's
Super cool.
fantastic. Yeah.
Really, really fun little city. But there is a distillery there, the Chattanooga Whiskey Distillery.
Okay.
And while I was there, I got a special bottle you can only get in their store in Chattanooga.
Nice.
It's a special blend they did. It's a red, white, and blue blend.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because they use different red, white, and blue corn, I guess, to make it. Anyway,
Cool. All right.
so it's, you know, kind of patriotic. And I'll be done 5 days after the 4th, so that'll be my first sampling.
That's coming up.
But on that note of alcohol, this has been very eye-opening to have. This is probably the longest I've gone since I was deployed that I have not had alcohol.
Yeah.
And I really don't even crave it. Like I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Actually,
Yeah.
I just genuinely enjoy having a good one every now and then.
Yeah.
Not to drink to excess, but just to enjoy. I like bourbon and,
Yeah.
and beer.
Sure.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but keeping it to purely social settings in sparing amounts, I think, is like an absolute must. I really was over drinking the past 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And I was already trying to cut back a lot since like the new year, and we talked about it on the annual review episode.
Yeah.
It's been very eye-opening. So for those of you who are like, not feeling very good or you're struggling to lose weight, any of that kind of stuff, just seriously cut the alcohol for like 30 days and just watch the transformation happen. I think it's pretty mind-blowing. Joints don't feel as swollen, all that kind of stuff. It really messes with your sleep too, like a lot. So really eye-opening to be off this long and to see it. And I'm going to treat it as kind of like having a dessert every once in a while, not something I just do all the time.
And I think something that many of us do is we've had a rough day at work, so we have a drink to help relax.
Yeah, and that's
not
anymore.
A good crutch. Yeah, I think it's a depressant, right? So it probably makes you feel worse.
Well, it ruins your sleep too. Like,
yeah.
I used to wear like that Whoop strap or whatever, and it would give like pretty good analytics on like heart rate variability and stuff when you sleep. Excuse me. And if I just had like a single beer, just one, like eat a huge meal and one, even a light beer.
Yeah.
My numbers just completely tanked. It was like alarming at how bad it was. So if you have like a lot in one sitting, like you're basically not getting any REM sleep that night, which then makes you further, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a vicious cycle.
Yep.
So that it's been very eye-opening. The no alcohol thing is probably the best element of this whole challenge.
I was really hoping that it would not affect me the way that it did, because I do enjoy drinking.
Yeah.
So I wanted to not lose weight. I wanted to not sleep better. And I've dropped a ton of weight. I'm sleeping amazing. It's so frustrating because I didn't want that to happen.
I don't want it to help.
Yeah, and I realized it.
I don't want to give up my vice.
It really made a big difference. Yeah.
What about you? What's your first?
I'm gonna have a Founder's beer.
Oh, that's the Michigan brand.
That's
right?
the Michigan brand. Yeah,
okay.
It's Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is where my family is from.
Okay.
It's Beer City, USA. And
debatable.
Yes.
I
What's
think
your beer city?
They named that themselves. I'm from Portland area, man. Portland, Oregon. Come on, that's like the microbrew mecca. Like
you kind of have to drink if you live there, huh?
I think there's more breweries per capita in Oregon than there is anywhere in the country. Or at least there was at some point. I don't know if it's still that way.
And
but
you have Willamette Valley, right, kind of nearby, which is for wine. So you got that whole.
There's a lot of good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't live there anymore, but I grew up there. So when I became 21, it was like you go to the grocery store and like just the grocery store aisle has like more selections than liquor stores do in the South, for beer. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then, so the silver lining, of course, is we didn't have soda until Prohibition, right? Nobody had really drank it or thought about it. And so when alcohol was banned, Coca-Cola, all these companies added in soda, soft drink, right, versus hard drink.
Right.
Yeah. And so now we have, I would argue you're probably better off having a beer than a Coca-Cola, right, if you had to pick. It's a tough call. They're probably either one's kind of problematic for you. But, I almost wonder if cutting out alcohol completely for some people, if they're just going to replace it with soft drinks.
That's not good. No.
That's not good either.
No,
yeah. So
that's the slow death. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. I think the soda.
Yeah.
So I mean that's why I say with this whole challenge thing. If you're really wanting to do it, knock yourself out. But the diet thing, cutting sugar, cutting alcohol, that's like, I think for 90+% of Americans, that's probably like step number one.
Yeah. And
you're going to see like massive change in 30 to 60 days.
When I was a personal trainer, my first year, I was super intense. We have to get your food exactly right. We have to, and I realized it would last for 6 months, and then clients would rebound. It wasn't, for some people that intense period is okay, but for most of us, nobody wants to live the next 50 years eating salad and water, right? So what I would do is I would say, don't change your eating habits, have a Snickers, do what you want to do, but cut the alcohol and cut the soda and just drink water.
Yeah.
And it was amazing the results people would get. A
Interesting.
little bit of exercise. If all of your liquid calories are coming from water, it is very hard to be overweight. It's certainly possible. That people find a way. But for the most part, what really gets us in trouble, I think, especially in America, is soda and beer. Those are the two that that really crush us.
Yeah.
So this was a great learning experience for me, going to where I'm basically just drinking water. What a huge difference that made.
Yep.
So
protein shakes and water and coffee.
Yeah. Don't forget coffee.
That's why I'm peeing all the time. Is a ton of water and then coffee and then protein shakes and pre-workout, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of liquid. I feel like I'm just a giant water balloon walking around half the time. It's insane.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I can't wait to not have to drink this much water.
Yeah.
I will enjoy on special occasions to have a drink, and treat it as a treat, not as a right. I think that's a big thing. Yeah. So it's been a little eye-opening. It's good. It's not always. So Andy Frisella, if you hear this, don't come after me.
Yeah.
there has been value, but I think a lot of people should. You need to really, depending on where you're at in life, really take a hard look at if it's going to be beneficial for you. Because I think a lot of people would burn themselves out by about the 45-day mark, and it could be counterproductive. I think so. Maybe doing half of the activities. might be more helpful. But that's just my thought. So
I could see that. Yeah, and you're a naturally more disciplined person than I think the average person.
Yeah,
certainly.
Given my background, I didn't really need an exercise in like self-discipline. Yeah, this has been a little overkill for me, so I'm just like over it.
I certainly did.
Okay.
Self-discipline is not my strong suit by any means. I've mostly been able to get away with being able to do mostly what I want. I haven't needed to have a super intense disciplined regimen for myself. And as a dad, that is tough because then I don't naturally feel the need to discipline my son.
Yeah, that's
I'll
fair.
just let him do his thing. And the worst thing you can do with dad, you can't let your 3-year-old do his thing.
Yeah, you can't be the fun dad all the time.
No,
especially when they're
exactly.
young. It's like they need to know boundaries.
Because your wife will resent that. That's a great way to make your wife hate you, is to be the fun dad all the time and make her be the policeman all the time. So
it's almost like you're shedding that responsibility.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So, as dads, we have to take that responsibility on. Let the mom be the fun one. It drives me crazy because my son does think Kim, my wife, is funnier than me. So I'll do the funny thing, and he kind of stonewalls me.
That's fact. It's not.
Yeah, exactly. And then she'll do the same thing, and he cracks up. Right? So I was like, "What am I doing wrong?" But that's wonderful that
you're wearing mandals for one. That's
hilarious, right? That should count. Yeah.
He's like he's 3, and he's like, my dad's not cool.
Yeah, I've already lost school points with my fourth son. Exactly.
Just wait till he's a teenager, dude. He's not.
Oh, it's over. Yeah.
Dad.
Oh my gosh, Dad, can you maybe not drive me to school? I don't want to be seen with you.
My daughter's already starting to do that. She's like, Dad, please stop. And I'm like, you are way too young for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Way too young for this.
Way too 12 for
Oh
that,
man, when she's a teenager. Oh no.
I'll tell you what, so I met your
Pray
daughter.
for me.
Yeah. Met your daughter for the first time today, and watching her with my son Lucas is absolutely incredible. They are so cute together.
Yeah,
it's so much fun seeing that.
They are it's just pure. It's pure happiness and joy, and it's pure acceptance. You know what I mean? Like, kids don't see the world through the same eyes as we do, and so it's just like, oh, new friend, and instantly there's no judging of like, do you fit into my circle? It's just raw, like, let's go. And they're 5 years apart.
Yeah.
And he's like a toddler still. She's a young girl, or preteen almost. They're very different stages of life in terms of development, but they're still just like, woo, let's go, and playing and all fun and games. And I think we could learn a lot from our kids. Actually, it's a beautiful thing to just see, because my daughter does this with everyone. Every new group of kids she meets, there's never any worry about like what the color of their skin is or what religion they follow, and it's just like raw acceptance and love, and they go and play, have a good time, and every now and then they fall and get boo-boos and all that kind of stuff, but it's just like pure. I mean, there's not much in the world that stays pure, and that's one of them. So if you're not a parent, and you don't ever get to see your kids doing that, you miss out on like this. It's like restoring faith in humanity.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
And maybe I'm just a sucker for the dopamine hit or something. But all right, fine, sign me up.
That's why kids are so important, because they remind us how we should be as adults. If we disagree on economic policy, we can still be friends. And there are a lot of people who would disagree with that statement, which is so insane to me.
Fight me about it.
Yeah, right. 5% is right. No, 5.5%. And then it's And so it is so wonderful to see kids just enjoying themselves and having fun. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend and watching them hang out.
Yeah, we can maybe start some new traditions.
Yes.
We can make this a thing. So speaking of traditions, what were some of your 4th of July traditions growing up?
One of my favorite holidays. So growing up, we would spend every summer in Michigan on the lake. We have an old school cabin, log stacked on top of log. It's over 100 years old. No air conditioning, no amenities of any kind, just one rustic bathroom.
Nice.
And it's so great. So
roughing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I took my son up there last week, and we had a blast with that. It's cool because we have a private stretch of beach, and I would argue that West Michigan has the best beaches in the world.
Really?
3 months out of the year. The other 9, it's freezing.
Well, I got to stop you there. How many beaches have you been to around the world then? That's a bold claim there, Mr. Burnham.
Let's see how it works out. The black beaches in Hawaii are amazing. Those are definitely worth visiting.
So you've been...
Costa Rica.
Okay, you've been around.
As a Florida man.
Have you been to European beaches?
I have.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and they're fine. They're more rocky. California beaches, same thing. Mexico's beautiful beaches, but there is nothing like fresh water, no sharks, no salt, beautiful white sandy beaches. The sunsets are like nothing you'll see anywhere in the world. So I would seriously put Western Michigan against any of the most world-class beaches. Now, I will continue to travel to other beaches throughout the world just to compare.
Yeah, you'll fall on that sword for us?
Yeah, exactly. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah.
And so, private stretch of beach, there's this incredible tube that allows me to do about a 20-foot cliff dive into the channel next to it. So every year, I'll dive into the channel, and then there's this kind of scrambling process, which gets a little more challenging to do every year, to get back onto the tube and kind of back to the beach where I need to go. I'll have to show you and describe what that process is. But
we'll have to link a video of it or something in the description so people can see what you're talking about.
Definitely. It's kind of a pilgrimage for me to go up there and make this dive and have this whole...
And you did it as a kid, right? So this is
the first time I ever did this, I was 7 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay,
I saw the older kids doing it. I almost died diving in. I don't know what I was thinking.
Like every good boy playing hard. I almost died.
Yeah. And then I realized, okay, this is an important thing for me, and so I kept doing it. But so that's one big 4th of July tradition, is to make sure that I'm able to get that dive in and spend time at the cabin. The fireworks are incredible. So because it is a private stretch of beach, we can kind of do whatever we want. My uncle is a legitimate pyromaniac. I think if he was to be labeled with that...
so we'd be really good friends.
Yes, I could see. You have to... Bobby, you guys...
You got a daisy chain. You got to take what magic whips are?
Tell me.
It's like the hells a poppin', like the green things that you throw them and they...
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like a long strand of that.
Yeah.
Well, you can take out the wick and basically daisy chain ridiculous amounts of things together because it's essentially... You just tie the... so you actually do this in the military with deck cord and stuff, but it's the same concept. You're tying multiple fuses together so you can have multiple things go off at once. So I was doing that since I was 8.
So you were ready for it. Yeah.
Super irresponsible. I've got all my fingers magically.
Yeah, somehow.
But so does he do that kind of stuff where he's stringing it all together?
We've never done that. We're gonna have to get the two of you together and do some brainstorming. You guys will get along very
There's
well.
also you can take piccolo Pete's, and if you use electric tape on them and kind of smash one end of it'll turn it into a little bit more of a stick of TNT versus it won't whistle, it'll just explode.
Oh, cool. Okay.
There's a lot of crazy things. So
yeah.
Monitor your kids. Do not let them do this without supervision.
Yes, this is definitely one
putting that blurb out there. I give you some dangerous advice, so monitor it.
Very important dad moments. Yeah, be a present father when there are fireworks involved.
Don't say here you go, have some fun. They'll be coming back looking like this, missing fingers for those listening. Yeah. And so are you done with your traditions?
Please.
So that segues into what we did was we'd always go to our cousin's house. They lived in Estacada, Oregon. And they had 5 acres of woods in their backyard or whatever. It's kind of on a hill a little bit. And we're talking real woods, real thick pines and everything, the classic Pacific Northwest kind of vibe. And their dad used to race motocross. So they have trails designed through the woods. It's freaking amazing. Tabletop jumps, all kinds of stuff. So we would ride dirt bikes and ATVs and just tear it up all day. And then their dad would do what I described, daisy chaining tons of fireworks to make a big show, but he taught us just enough that he would let us mess around enough to kind of start learning the ropes. So as we aged up, we kept expanding what we were doing.
Nice.
We'd tape them together and throw them up in the air, and also, I guess really not that dangerous, but just dangerous enough that we felt like we were being dangerous.
Of course, yeah.
We got way into paintball, so we'd paintball in the woods. It was just super cool stuff. So that was vivid memory. I still remember almost every single one of those 4th of Julys just at their house in the woods doing stuff like that. So that's kind of the big one. We would occasionally do it at someone else's house, but it was almost the default go to their place. The whole family would get there.
Sure.
All the women stayed inside, and our family is almost all boys. There was my sister and one cousin who's a girl, and everyone else there's 20 boys, so of varying ages. So imagine an army of young teenage and below boys just running out in the woods with fireworks.
Oh my god, it sounds like a blast. Yeah.
So that was what we did.
Literally a blast.
America. We shot each other. We blew stuff up.
Yeah.
We roasted marshmallows.
Yeah.
Rode dirt bikes.
Great traditions.
Yeah.
So, I do wonder, because less than half of Americans now say that they are proud to be an American, right? So in most polls, it's something like 35 to 40% of Americans, are you very proud to be an American? They'd say, no, I'm not.
Shame.
And I wonder if that's a tradition thing. Do you think if I wonder if all of us who grew up with these cool traditions, do we have that pride? Or is there something else there that kind of led into that?
I actually think that's more of a age of social media thing. It's so easy to inundate ourselves with negativity, politics, all that kind of stuff, and I think the negativity sells, right? Pomp talked about it on that last episode we did about Twitter promotes it promotes controversy. So like all these platforms want you to be contentious because it keeps you going on their platform. So then all these companies are pushing negativity. Politics is a big hot button issue to begin with. Then you make it always negative. It's never a positive. So I think we have so much visibility to all the bad things happening, corruption or suspected corruption, all that kind of stuff. This isn't a political podcast, but I think it just makes people feel disillusioned. You know, that's my take.
I could see that. Well, and I think 50 years ago, the negativity was against other countries. Right, and so people were proud to be Americans.
These evil,
the Russians,
the axis of evil,
and so America good, other countries bad, and so now we've kind of shown the lens on our own country, and now we say, America's bad.
Are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies? That's yeah, exactly. Which is good. Obviously, we have problems that we need to fix, but you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right,
and that's the real challenge.
Yeah, we were kind of talking on the drive over. It's like even if you're like not very well off in the U.S., you're still in a lot of ways better off than the vast majority of the world currently, but also like potentially humankind ever. Like we live in the most excess culture that's ever walked the face of the planet. So for all our faults, you still got a lot of good things going for you. It's not like shoot that book we're reading that Justin has us reading. This guy we're reading, their ancestors like moved out on the frontier.
The Jolly Roger, right?
You were born, and the second you could like plow the field, you were just working the earth till you die. That was life. So it's an honest life in a lot of ways, but there was no such thing as like fun money or leisure time or doing what you wanted. It was like literally I gotta like grow crops or we die. And we have no electricity, no plumbing. If we get sick, we're just out. You're just done.
You certainly weren't walking into a podcast studio to record
exactly. Talking about our great family traditions and blowing stuff up.
Yeah, exactly.
So in a lot of ways, I think too, it's kind of like it's almost like it's a little bit of the privileged ideas topic where it's like you have so much freedom to kind of do what you want with your life. That you have that much more freedom to just be negative about everything in a way, and it's almost like a privilege in a way that like you could afford to be upset about things that really aren't life or death. Because if you're like a subsistence farmer in some third world country, like you have to work every single day to not starve.
And to get water, right? It's 4 hours like, a day walking to the well and back, just to hydrate.
And so in a lot of ways, like this comfort creates maybe I don't know.
So we're literally complaining about having to drink a gallon of water, whereas there are people who the thought of having access to a gallon of water.
I suck.
We are. First world.
I'm gonna enjoy every sip. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
But when you put it in perspective, like how lame, right? Like, oh man, I have to drink a gallon. People would literally kill to have that. So anyway, maybe we're kind of going off on the weeds here, but I think that perspective is important to appreciate, and also as it relates to our kids, like help them understand as they're growing up, because that's where that gratitude comes from. Is like, look, I'm a veteran. I served. I'm very proud of what I did. There's a lot I'm not proud about of our country, like a lot, and we're not going to go way off into the weeds on this, but I will say that I want my daughter to appreciate the things she does have and to be grateful for them, and I think that's a healthy mindset that regardless of how you feel on left, right, center, whatever, everyone should have that, and I think a little bit of patriotism is a good thing, because you need to connect with those around you where you live, and if you don't, then you're cutting yourself off from friends, and like we talked about with our kids, where like there is no differences, they just play and enjoy. And so like if you're so hard-lined on the negativity or politics or whatever, you're essentially isolating yourself from potential meaningful exchanges that are going to help like improve your life.
That's such a good point. So maybe we don't have a problem with America, we have a problem with our neighbors, and we extrapolate that to the rest of the country.
Well, I don't know about neighbors, but I just mean in general, like I feel like people are so face value type of thing, right? You don't give people a chance. So I mean, you and I probably disagree on a whole lot of things.
We do. That's true.
And we're like best friends. So
Well, I mean, if you were right more often, we could agree on more stuff.
Well,
so
you know.
that would definitely help. Can't win them all.
I just drag my knuckles everywhere, you know. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's funny. So Zuby talked to Elon Musk on his most recent podcast about this, how many people are no longer team human, how it's very common to be anti-natalist, anti-human, and saying that we are not good for the planet, and that it'd be better if all humans left the planet and then we'd leave it for the bears and the deers. And there's hundreds of millions of people that believe this. It sounds crazy, but this is a very common viewpoint. And I think by the same token, so they laughed and they said, if we're not team human, who's going to be, right? And so by the same token, as Americans, if we're not... Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, he is an alien, so if we're not team America...
Zuby? Zuby's an alien?
Elon, yeah, exactly. So, but no, if we're not team America as Americans, who is going to be? And so that's interesting.
Are you referencing the movie?
America!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good segue. Favorite 4th of July-ish movies?
Yes.
Or even remotely close to.
So cheesy, historically inaccurate, but The Patriot was awesome. Every time I watched that, the British are just such great bad guys. Are we the baddies? As you said. And so, watching Mel Gibson, take the cleaver, and it was just, that was a great...
they have a king, like how King George III, the Mad King.
Indeed.
Do
you have a King George, the Mad King, being George? Do you have an impression?
No, see, I'm named after George Washington. No, I'm just kidding. I'm named after my great-grandfather, George Wilson. But that's pretty close to George Washington.
Oh, that's true. That's good. Yeah. So big fan of The Patriot.
So if you're an American, George is a good name. We've had 3 presidents named George.
Oh, good point. Okay.
That's a pretty high percentage.
That's probably the most common.
It was the most popular name in 1901. Okay, so I'm totally current.
Classic. Yeah. You're beyond boomer.
I'm a century off, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a last millennial.
Yeah.
Literally, the last millennium.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I think it was in 1800s the name. I don't know, whatever. So
yeah.
That's a century, but whatever.
And so best Independence Day movie of all is, of course, Independence Day. Right, because it tells the true story of how the British came from space and tried to invade America.
Those dang British.
And our only hope was Will Smith, who protected us from the dangers of the British aliens.
You want me to do my Will Smith?
I think you should do your Will Smith. Yeah.
Get my movie title out your mouth! And you're Chris Rock, and I'm going to...
Yep. Yeah.
I don't think I can reach across.
Fair. All right. Yeah. It saves me a little bit of danger. So definitely favorite. How about yourself? What's your top Independence Day movie?
I don't know about Independence Day specific. Are we talking war movies?
We can go war movies. Yeah, for sure.
I think We Were Soldiers is incredible.
I don't know that movie.
You haven't? Oh my gosh, we're watching that this weekend.
Okay,
let's
do it.
Okay, so we were talking. We're gonna go on a tangent now.
Yeah.
And this is something I want to do more frequently with us is because you were talking about you were raised with a single mom. You don't know a lot of kind of manly things, and in a lot of ways, I don't I can't work on engines or anything, so I need to go do that kind of stuff too, just to kind of do it. But in a lot of ways, I feel like you missed out on some things that you should know. But We Were Soldiers is an incredible movie.
I was singing to Carly Simon while you were watching We Were Soldiers. Different.
We're gonna watch that. I'm making you do some man homework this weekend. We're gonna watch We Were Soldiers.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I won't spoil anything for you, but if you probably don't even know the history of the battle.
No, what? Yeah, give me a brief synopsis of the
Vietnam. It was kind of the first battle where the U.S. tried the air mobile concept.
Okay.
They air assault in with helicopters and create an LZ and try and expand. Historically, actually, all it did was teach the Viet Cong how to fight us better.
Okay.
Because they tried, Big Army said, "Oh, what a success!" Right? They killed all these VC and stuff. Mm-hmm. And in reality, anyone who was on the ground probably would have told you, we lost a lot of guys. We should maybe consider how we're doing this better.
Okay.
Big Army thought, "Oh, what a great concept! Let's just keep mashing that button." So the next time they did it, the VC knew the whole game plan, and it was actually a total disaster. But the reason I like the movie isn't because of America the Great or whatever. It's at the brotherhood level. It does a really good job of showing the different perspectives from enlisted men, officers, the commander, all the different levels and the different struggles they have. Either fighting the fight. The guy who wrote the book was basically just a war correspondent. He's a army photographer. He's not even supposed to fight. put alongside them all and everything. And so just watching the human level of it is why it's so. And there's also a little bit of a from the perspective of the VC as well, humanizing them too. So it's not your typical war movie of like, I'm trying to think of some cheesy one where it's like America just goes in and just crushes everybody and it's like this vapid propaganda piece. It's a little bit more nuanced.
Yeah. And
I think shows a pretty good, not that I'm like the authority on the military or anything, but shows a pretty good understanding of like what it means for soldiers to fight side by side.
Yeah.
And kind of put it all on the line. So for me, I watched it when I was young, maybe 10 years old or something, with my dad, and just like weeping, crying at the end of it because it was like so moving and stuff. But it made me also appreciate really early on like what sacrifice for your brother means,
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to get a glimpse into like realistic bonds between warriors, I think it's a pretty good view into that.
I can't wait to see it.
And I think our culture needs a little bit more of that, because if you look at most cultures historically, they had a healthy kind of warrior culture that society understood and appreciated and recognized was like an important thing that had to happen.
Yeah.
So
some element of shared sacrifice.
Yes.
I know if you and I have both gone through a challenge together, we're guaranteed to be better friends than if we've just shared a beverage together and nothing challenging happened. So I think many of us, I know I didn't really have much challenge or sacrifice growing up. I had a pretty easy life, and that changed the way that I looked at things, and I was probably not as appreciative as I would have been if I'd had some struggle that I'd gone through.
Yeah.
So what, for the 4th of July, what does it mean to you, and what do you want it to mean to your daughter? What do you want to pass on as a dad that this holiday matters?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, the history of it.
Yeah.
I bet if you asked a lot of people today, they wouldn't even know why. Why did we celebrate the 4th?
It's the day we beat Mexico.
Yeah, they're going to be some
that's Cinco de Mayo. That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So
not that either.
I wanted to understand the history because, I mean, yeah, we're all living this great American experiment, right? And we're a relatively young country.
Yeah.
We're not, I mean, compare it, we talked about Europe, right? Like, so I was born in Austria. I was able to visit when I was a teenager. Like, there's palaces that are older than America. You know what I mean? So we're kind of a young thing in global history. And, she should grow up appreciating that. It's a unique thing. And you have a lot of comforts and rights that a lot of people across the earth don't get to, or in the past never did. So I wanted to appreciate that. But also, I think it's a good chance for us to show how having fun is an important aspect of life, too. It's good to take time off, to unwind, be with good friends, have new adventures, experiences. So for that, we already knocked one off. There was a launch today, SpaceX launch.
So cool.
We got to see it from the pool, it's just cool stuff like that. You get to live in an amazing... I think I'm very optimistic, despite all our faults. I'm just filled with optimism. So I think something about this holiday always feels like the air is fresher. So, what I mean? It's like when you step outside and you just feel a little lighter type of thing. So I want her to like have that same, you're talking about our traditions. It just makes me feel really good.
Yes.
And I want to recreate that for her.
And having traveled to many places where this is not the case, I believe that Americans are uniquely optimistic and hopeful in many ways. People in Europe are wonderful, but they don't often see that the world will be better for their children than it is for them. And they don't necessarily see innovation as likely to make the world better. There's this kind of general feeling that, if we have new technology, it might change things, but not for the better. It'll just make things worse like they've always been. And that's not how many Americans view the world. We tend to say, wow, if we create something new, we can actually improve things.
Yeah, we think pretty short term, like one generation at a time, whereas like other cultures, they've existed for so long, like how could you not think in terms of centuries versus...
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. And maybe that's where
it's kind of a unique American-ish kind of mentality, I think, but...
Yeah, we like to move fast.
Right or wrong.
Things. Right.
America.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, I definitely want my son to maintain that sense of optimism and hope.
Yeah.
And that's what that means for me. America is hope at the end of the day. Whether we achieve that or not, that is the goal there. And so when we change things to where we talk about the history being bad and all the terrible things we've done, it's important to reflect on that and recognize we've made mistakes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if all you do is talk about mistake after mistake, you're not going to have a good opinion.
Well, and to be perfectly clear, every large civilization has done horrible things.
Yes.
not dismissing
Yeah.
our troubled past ourselves, but it's like, humans love to find a way to be awful to each other. So
yes,
find a way to be good to each other is the message.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, and so that's something that I want to pass on to him,
Yeah.
is how important that is. And so that's really key for me as part of this holiday. So hopefully over the next couple of days I can impart a bit of that to him.
Yeah.
Even at 3, it's amazing what he remembers. He'll have a friend that he remembers from 6 months ago, or a toy that he lost
Right.
half a year ago, and all of a sudden he'll reference it again.
They're sponges, man.
They really are. It's
They-
incredible what they absorb. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good stuff. Let's see.
I was to say, another great kind of war movie, of course, The Band of Brothers, but also The Pacific. I mean, if you haven't seen either of those, I feel like that's a requirement as an American.
I've seen Band of Brothers.
Okay. So The Pacific is about the Marines in the Pacific theater in World War II. And it's a little less about like the bigger battle picture, and it's a little bit more on like the individual level again.
Yeah.
So if you get a lot more into the non-battle, there's plenty of battle, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of insight into like what they were dealing with outside of the actual fighting, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. That there's a lot of elements that mess with you way beyond getting shot at.
Yeah.
So that's a great one. Got to see that one.
That's what I enjoyed about Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, exactly.
There were battle scenes, but of course it was about the story of rescuing somebody
Right.
and his backstory.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yep.
And then, so we both seen Extraction 2 recently. If you haven't seen that, greatest action movie I've seen in probably 5 years. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I
film.
think it's the best movie to come out since Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. Okay.
Just all around, like, it knows what it is. It doesn't try to be more than it is. So I'm not saying like it's going to be greatest all time, classic or anything, but in terms of it recognizes it's an action movie. Its job is to entertain the audience and have a good enough plot just to make sense.
And it certainly does.
And it
that.
just delivers. It just
Yeah.
does it. And I feel like in every movie nowadays, they're trying to force some message or make it more than it is. They're trying to be like all lofty, and it's just like, no, if you're a comedy, just make comedy. If you're an action flick, just make action. You know what I mean? So it's just like totally ticked all the checks. You know what I mean? Chris Hemsworth is, I think him as Thor is absolutely wasted. Just complete waste of his talents. I think he's a freaking specimen of a human being. So he fits this role of like the tough action hero, shooting people and all that kind of stuff. I think he crushes it. And like
literally crushes it. Yeah.
Yeah, with the leg press.
That was
Spoilers.
awesome. Yeah.
But like we grew up in the same era, kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and all these like just like over the top action movies. So it's a little bit of a callback to that, but with modern, CGI. But there's enough practical effects; it doesn't feel disorienting. Where you're like, oh, they really did some dangerous stuff. Like that train scene. I saw some behind the scenes footage. They're legit like flying helicopters around this train, and there's dudes acting like they're falling off the train. It was like wild. Like they did some pretty dangerous stuff.
Were there any injuries that you saw? Or?
No, but I'm sure there were.
Yeah, there had to be.
There's some pretty crazy stuff they were doing.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like that as an audience, you feel that. You feel that tension. So, like, go watch Extraction 2. Just total random thing, but. You were like, do I have to see it? I was like, yes. Are you happy that I made you watch it?
I do not regret it. I was a little stressed as I was watching it, though.
Well, good. That means you were engaged in this story.
I did. I very much enjoyed it. Yeah.
I mean, what do you think, though? Hemsworth is like absolute action hero, right? Like
he's definitely top 5 for that list.
I think
he does it right.
They need to sign him up for like 10 more things like this or similar.
And we all need an Idris Elba to be our friend to pull us out of jail, right? I mean, that's the best. Without going to jail for the rest of my life, bummer. And he says, no, you're not. I got you.
The other like total side topic I want to point out is like they let him be the main character in like this hyper masculine thing. They give him a little bit of a flawed, he's the wounded hero type of thing. You get to see a little bit of his emotions and struggles.
Yeah.
I thought they did pretty well. But they also give him a strong female like partner who isn't like overshadowing him and this ridiculous stuff you see in movies nowadays where it's like total girl boss, Mary Sue, they never get hurt or whatever, and they're like all powerful. No, she like there's real tension with her too, where she's smart, she's cunning, she's tactically proficient. She's a great character.
Yeah.
Regardless of gender, you're drawn into her, and she doesn't overshadow Hemsworth, and she's side by side with him, but she also has danger. Like you feel like she's gonna die at a couple points in the movie too.
Yeah.
And I would argue that like I want my daughter to watch that and be like, awesome. Not yet. We're gonna wait like 6 years and then
So
she can watch.
She's a little older, yeah.
She's a little older, but
Yeah.
like to be like, okay, yeah, that's awesome. Like she's, it's like a buddy cop kind of that's a lost art, I think, in movies, and we're totally off on a tangent now. But
Yes.
those are what people love. It's not because of diversity check. It's because of character development. And even in a stupid action movie, it's about like.
And that movie did have its diversity check. They had a very
A little, but I mean, she's not impressive because of any of that. It's not because
Yeah.
she's a she. It's because they developed her as a character. There's a history with them. They play off each other really well.
Yeah.
And so as a viewer, you just enjoy the good character development of it.
You're right. And so I think it's great that we have more diversity in movies, but you can't force it. It has to be natural. And
Well,
that's
yeah,
really
and like
hard
I have
to
a
get.
daughter, and like I don't want her to think there's like, just because you're a girl, like you're awesome. It's like, no, you need hard work, discipline. Like there are elements of things that, regardless of your gender, you need to gratitude.
Yeah.
We're talking about optimism. So it's like I don't want her to just grow up thinking like, because you're female, like everything's handed to you and that's wonderful. Or it's like, no, you need to. So maybe I'm reading into action movie too much, but
Yeah.
I watch these kind of things. I think about like who, I grew up as a boy. I had, heroes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, whatever. But like, who's my daughter going to grow up and think about and stuff? And like a character like that strikes me as someone that's more. It's a stupid action movie, but there was actually some thought into her character as opposed to just like, you're a girl boss.
Yeah.
Because that's like, no one wants to hang out with that character. Like,
No, they're.
I don't want to go
they're
off
not-
too far in the weeds here.
Yeah, no, they're very simplistic characters, so it was nice to see that.
But yeah, you're reducing them down to like nothing else. Like, give them. I don't know. So
Yeah, I agree.
go watch Extraction.
Yes. Yeah. Nice plug for that.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time? What's
55 minutes.
55. Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Well, you want to wrap it?
Yeah, let's do a wrap. I like it.
Do you have any good dad jokes for the 4th?
4th of July Independence.
Oh, here I got
Day.
one.
Okay,
If I could
lead
hear
with
your
it.
fireworks, I wouldn't be impressed. Because I'm deaf. Artillery.
Oh, yes. There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Most of mine are more implied as far as making fun of Europe and all that kind of stuff. It really is the best day for it, to appreciate the just so many interesting differences as far as that. And I think today is actually Canada Day. Right, so happy Canada Day!
Oh, dude, let's go chug some maple syrup. And
yeah, exactly.
What is it? The the store? They all.
Oh yeah.
Is it Tom?
No, it's not O'Brady's. But
No.
yeah, it's that terrible. They have awful coffee. Hortons. Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons.
Tim
yeah.
Hortons. There you
The
go.
place
Yeah.
is terrible.
All of Canada just declared war on you.
Yeah, it's over. I had a Beyond Meat. This is my fault for ordering a meatless burger from Tim Hortons.
All right, we're gonna end the show now.
Yes.
Dustin's excommunicated.
One of the worst things I've ever. I had 2 bites, and I very rarely throw food away, and this was totally inedible.
Because it's not food.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
just so we're clear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like fake plant products.
Fail.
Huge fail on my part. Yeah. Well, that's what I get for eating Canadian.
Hey, hockey's
fake
awesome.
meat.
I love hockey.
Love hockey. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
We went to our first hockey game. Took my daughter to her first pro hockey game this last fall. So yeah,
Nice.
Great.
I was kicked out of Niagara Falls by the Canadian Mounties. When I was
Nice.
younger. Yeah. So drove up through New York, went to the Canada side.
Because you like
of
borders
Niagara
don't
Falls.
control me. I'm an American.
Yeah, I can do what I want. So we go.
This is just Northern America.
I'm just
It's
gonna
not
go
Southern
conquer.
Canada. This is.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry.
No, you're good.
Tell the story.
We saw this incredible waterfall, and there were some signs that said clearly, don't walk here. This isn't part of the experience. And so,
But you're ungovernable. So
I have become ungovernable. Yeah, that's right. So I was probably 19 at the time. We hopped over the railing, and there was this incredible cave. We checked it all out. It was really cool. And then as we're walking out of the cave, the guy actually said to me, "Hey, what's this about?" It was. So I'm laughing.
you're
As
like,
the police.
what? Can you say that into my good ear?
Yeah, and so I had to sign, and they said, "Please don't come back." It was the most kind.
That's like, yeah. Oh, we're really sorry, we got to kick you out of here. You're in big trouble, but I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So that was.
What's the other one? Produce or what's the word? I don't know. I
a
forget.
boat? A boat. That's
no,
a big one.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I know several Canadians. They're great people.
Agreed. Yeah. It is weird though how their heads flap up and down.
Jordan
They
Peterson is
unconnected.
Canadian, right?
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah, good old JP.
Great comedian or great Canadian.
Shopify is a Canadian company. Lululemon.
Oh.
Big fan of Lululemon.
All right.
Yep. So.
Enough about Canada. This is America's Day. We're recording on Canada's Day, but we're publishing this for America's Day. So
That's right.
you can keep your A's and your Tim Hortons. We're going to keep our freedom and missing fingers and fireworks.
Yes, exactly.
America, grilling. Oh, I was gonna ask favorite, like historical American figure.
Oh, good one.
Colonial, Civil War, whatever. Like just not current era.
Yeah, agreed. Barack Obama. No, I gotta go.
Do push-ups.
I gotta go. Abe Lincoln. I think his speech 20 years ago. We did all that. I mean, it's just from someone who really speaks to me and all that. It's the Gettysburg Address.
Yeah.
Is it, so
7 years ago. 7 years.
Oh, so yes, yeah. Thank you. But as far as a real figure from America that was taller than life. It had
literally.
Yeah, he was giant.
Big old tall hat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So he's definitely up on the list. How about yourself? Who's your favorite?
I'll give you two because I don't know if this is old enough, but Theodore Roosevelt I think is.
Teddy. Yeah.
I think he was like the consummate man's man. He was hyper he was a warrior. He was a scholar. He was. I think. He's getting tons of speeches that were like at colleges and all that kind of stuff about you have to be both. You can't just be, which kind of aligns. It's in line with like the pillars of manhood we talked about. Mm-hmm. You can't just be one dimensional. So he was a huge proponent of that. Big figure on that. The man in the arena speech.
National park system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an outdoorsman. So a lot of him, I think, like men today should try and emulate. Amazing figure. I want to go back to colonial era. I think George Washington was just that's kind of cliche, but just what an absolute legend to they wanted him to keep being president and he was like, nope, I think we need to pass it over to what vision, just
he could have easily Washingtons could have been
he could have been the dynasty, he could have been the emperor of whatever he wanted, but just to have the vision, we are who we are today in large part because of his leadership and ability to think ahead, which is incredible. I mean, I think if most people were thrust in that position, they would have gone the selfish route,
Of course, yeah. Power corrupts. It's amazing that he was able to say no.
Not that he was a perfect guy. Don't get me wrong. There's lots to not like about anyone from back in that era, but I just that blew me away. Learning about that, and I don't know how much of that is embellished. Maybe it's a little overtold than what reality was. Maybe I should study that a little bit harder, but I just think the whole concept of him having the foresight to make the American system versus just recopying what Europe did.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Not easy.
And that wasn't just him. It's is many of those great thinkers type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, Thomas Jefferson told us that political parties, factions would, potentially undo the country later. And then sure enough, Civil War happened due to it. And now we're, struggling with that factional battle between Republicans and Democrats. A lot of wisdom there from those guys. And I think if we went back and looked at some of their writings again, there's a lot to learn from it.
Yep. So I kind of cheated that answer, but
always good to have more.
It's my show, so you have to do it.
You can do it. Yeah, exactly.
I'm the host. No.
Yeah.
All right, I think it's a good place to wrap it. So enjoy your 4th of July. If you're listening to this after the 4th of July, hope it was a great one. But yeah, you can definitely pay attention to forging family traditions with friends. Great things to think about as a father, and take some intentionality and think at creating those memories for your kids and your families and friends. And yeah, God bless America.
Yes, sir. I love it. Get out there and grill some meat.
Yeah. All right, enough talk. Get climbing, dads. We'll see you in the next one.
Awesome.
God bless America. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Present Fathers Podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify to catch all of our amazing episodes. We will see you in the next one.